off the field work in terms of like generating opportunities for yourself was big for me. And I think kids don't do enough of that. Kids think that they're just going to be found.
Do I have to play MLS next to play Division One?
You do not, because there are a heavy amount of Division One schools that still recruit from the ECNL level.
Do I have to play MLS next or ECNL to play Division One?
I don't like to say always and never because I don't want anyone to like lose their confidence.
How is the recruitment at the pro level different to the college level?
I think you kind of have to just more have like a connection with someone. It goes back to who you know. Like they're always bringing in guys to like fill out our training and give guys a week-long training stint. So if you can, I would just say like do your best to form connections with not just like a club, but like a person, and then say, hey, I would love to come out and train for a week and test the level and explore. And then the thing is with the professional level, regardless of what you've done in the past, once you get in a professional environment, you're there.
What are the negatives of being a pro?
So being a pro, it's a very mentally challenging career because like you said, you see all the positives, the good stuff, but there's so many outside factors of being a pro. I've seen so many players who kind of just like lose that spark and forget that like they're just playing football.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Select Generation podcast. Today, super excited. We've got Riley Linch with us. Riley currently plays for the Town in the Bay Area in California, which is the affiliate of the San Jose Earthquakes. He played Division One college soccer at St. Mary's, and he's got a really interesting story. I'm excited to hear about his recruiting process, about being a professional, find out some things maybe that you guys don't know about the realities of being a professional, how to get there, and what all goes into it. So yeah, Riley, first off, just want to say thank you for your time, and if you can give a little intro about who you are, what's your story, and yeah, what you're about.
Yeah, awesome. Well, first off, thanks again for having me. I'm super excited for this and dive right in. So, I grew up in Arizona. Most of my childhood, in terms of soccer, I was playing at the ECNL level. So, bounced around through a couple teams at the ECNL level. Um, about like my freshman year of high school, I kind of really decided that like football was my destiny, was my path in life. Um, so yeah, I've always kind of had a really my mantra has always been outwork everyone. So I've had this mentality where I just want to work extremely hard and be the best version of myself I can be. And then yeah, from there I got the opportunity to go play at a small Division One school called St. Mary's College, which is out here in the Bay Area, um, near Cal Berkeley. It's a reference point I use for everyone. Played there for 2.5 seasons. Went through the ups and downs of that, and then luckily enough, in my junior year, I was actually drafted in the MLS draft by the San Jose Earthquakes. So from there, I've come into the Earthquakes. I'm in the organization. I'm playing with the second team, as you said, and the next goal is obviously to progress into the first team and see how far we can go with the beautiful game. So
Amazing, amazing. So you mentioned there you've always been your mantra is like work hard, and I think I want to touch on this. It's interesting because I feel like a lot of players feel like they work hard and that like is deserved of opportunities. So what do you think is the difference between like talent and hard work in terms of like football and getting opportunities?
yeah, that's a good question. I think first off, with hard work, the more I've gone through the game, the more I realize is that you have to do the right work. Like to your point, a lot of kids will basically just, you know, claim to do a 4 hour training session every day, right? Where they're not focused, they're not locked in, and so it's really not that much time. They're not doing the correct training, and um, then they have this expectation, right? Of like, okay, I just worked hard, so I'm deserving of XYZ. So, I think to your point, you have to one, do the right work, and two, you have to be detached in terms of like you're doing your work, but you can't just be attached like, oh, I did the work, so now I'm deserving of an outcome. Um, and then the last thing I'll say is that off the field work in terms of like generating opportunities for yourself was big for me. And I think kids don't do enough of that. Kids think that they're just going to be found um, in terms of like getting a college scholarship and whatnot. So, um,
So it's interesting because you say work hard, and I think it's something that I really preach to a lot of our players is like you can work hard, but if you go to the if you're working hard at shooting free kicks, you're not the kick taker. Or if you're going hard, working hard and just shooting a load of balls and you pull your hamstring, Like that is not smart, right? If you're working hard because you're stretching, you're doing yoga, you're having electrolytes, you're having a protein shake with some creatine, right? That essentially is smarter, harder work than just going and running a marathon if you're a footballer. So for your advice to someone that's like, all right, Riley, I really want to work hard. Like, what does hard work mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's a fantastic question. I love your point too about the yoga um, and stuff. I would say I tell kids three things. Okay, the first thing is if you want to work hard every single day for the rest of your life, you can stand in front of a wall for 10 minutes and play wall ball. Okay, in tennis shoes, not cleats. You don't need some perfect grass pitch with a wall somehow spawned in right there. No, side of your house, 10 minutes a day, play wall ball. My college coach, Adam Cooper, actually put us on this my freshman year of college. And all the kids would be like, ah, this is crap. Like, why are we playing wall ball? But I realized, like, my touch is not good enough to be a pro yet. So, anyways, wall ball every single day. You can do that no matter what. Tired, not tired, 10 minutes, first thing you can do when you wake up. Another thing I like to say is you can start training your mind. So like today, we had a game the other day. I'm off today, but I'm doing visualization, I'm reading, I'm doing goal setting, journaling. So you can start going down your path of the mental aspect and starting to learn how to control your mind. And then the last thing I would say is you can do tactical stuff. I feel like kids, I mean, even I didn't do this when I was young, but you can watch your games. I'm a winger, so like I can watch a clip. I got 1v1 here, and what did I do? Did I not sell my move enough to go 1v1? Did I not change my speed? Did I not? And you can learn, and there's so much more work you can do other than, like you said, just like beating balls away in a training environment.
Amazing, amazing, really good. So you also touched there on like you were playing ECNL and you got recruited to play Division One college soccer. A lot of our audience are on a similar path. They're trying to get recruited to play collegiately, trying to get recruited to play pro. You mentioned that you weren't good enough to be a pro. You had to go to college. How was your college recruiting process? Because a lot of players don't understand what they need to do. And you mentioned about how you worked hard off the pitch too to generate opportunities. So can you walk us through like being a good player and then getting a Division One offer? Like how did you go from being a good player to getting your offer?
Yeah, yeah, and that's the best question, honestly, for kids because kids don't they just don't know. So for me, it was basically just volume. So I made an email template, an introduction email template, and I emailed every single Division One college, every single one of them. Um, and again, you don't have to sit down and send 300 emails, right? But like, if you do 5 emails per day, and this is to all the young kids out there watching, if you do 5 emails per day, within like 2 months, you've emailed every school in the country, and 5 emails per day is maybe like a 30-minute time commitment. So for me, it was volume. So I reached out to all the schools, emailed every single school. You're going to get a bunch of bullcrap generic responses. You're going to get the weird responses, but some people will be interested in you. Um, then from there, every time I had an event, I would email every single coach that was going to the event, any division. Hey, my name is Riley. I've sent you an email in the past. I'm an ECNL player. I have this many goals, this many assists. These are my accolades, this is my GPA. Here's my schedule. Come watch me play. I'd love to attend your school. And I have templates for all of these if any kids are interested in taking action. Um, but yeah, so for me, the biggest thing I can say is just like I've been yapping about the volume of it. Like kids come to me saying, I don't have an offer yet. I'm playing MLS next. And I'm like, okay, great. How many schools have you emailed? They're like, oh, I've emailed like 5 schools. It's like, okay, there's so many kids playing MLS next. Um,
So you mentioned there it's about volume, and I totally agree that players aren't doing enough that they should be doing. But at the same time, you also need to be good enough. So how did you
mhm.
how did you what why were you emailing Division One schools and why did they reply? Because there might be players that say to you, Riley, yeah, but I've emailed 300 Division One schools and they don't reply to me because they're not good enough. So
Yeah,
you need volume and you need to be good enough. How did you know you were good enough for D1?
yeah, that's a good question. So for me, I was playing at ECNL at the time, and I was one of the best players on my team, probably the best player on my team. I was scoring about a goal a game in ECNL. And this was before MLS Next. So there was DA, which was like the MLS academies, and then there was ECNL. So I was playing at, second, probably first, second highest level, and I was one of the best players on my team. So I knew that I was a Division One level player because I could go to an event where there would be 50 Division One coaches watching our games, and I could be one of the best players on the field. So that's how I kind of knew. But what I like to tell kids is that, like, honestly, you can't play D1 if you're not good enough. But there should be a home for most players who are dedicated to football, regardless of their level. Like you have JUCO, you have NAIA, you have D3, D2, and D1.
So
So,
you're playing MLS Next Pro now, and
mhm.
there's players on your team. I think there's some players that didn't go to college at all and that they went straight there. But for a player that's listening to that, that's saying, "Well, yeah, but Riley played Division One, and he's saying, "Oh, go play JUCO NAIA," but he didn't do that. But you're playing at a level now. The players that you play with and against, can you tell us about some of their backgrounds? Are they JUCO NAIA? Did they even go to college? Like, what are some of their backgrounds?
Yeah, so MLS Next Pro is a mixture of high level like Division One players that got drafted in the super draft that then didn't sign a first team contract. So those are like the best players in Division One college soccer. Then you have homegrown players who are like 16, I guess 15 now, some of them, 15 to like 20 years old, who were the best players in the Earthquakes Youth Academy, who then signed straight pro. Um, and then you have kids on the U18 team who kind of just like fill up the roster if we need players for training. And if we don't have enough to fill up the whole 20-man roster for our games, then we pull up like the best U19 player who will come and play with us, who's not technically getting paid, but will still be in the professional environment and is playing at a good level.
It's interesting the town because I know like there's a lot of obviously like MLS Next Pro teams, and I know like Charlotte FC have Crown Legacy, Nashville have
Mhm.
like the Alabama team, obviously San Jose you have the town. And I'm intrigued just from a personal level. Like, do you feel like you're playing in like a professional environment where you get fans, like it's a club atmosphere? Do you feel like you're playing for a developmental team? Like, how do you feel in terms of like the club? Does it feel like a club?
Yeah. Um, I would say yes. I would say yes. Like in terms of the professionalism, we train at PayPal, which is the first team facility. So we're in that the first team facility. Um, our locker room's right next to the first team, like training super professional, film, gym, ice bath. Like it's a professional environment. It feels professional.
How would you say is different from Division One college soccer? Because there is some Division One teams, arguably, that have better facilities than
Mhm.
MLS Next Pro teams. But for you, how would you say the transition is from Division One to MLS Next Pro in terms of facilities?
Yeah, for me, it was a step up in facilities because I was at a smaller D1. But the schools, like if you're going to a high level D1 program, like a ACC program, um, you're like it's very comparable, if not maybe your D1 program was at a higher level of facility. Um, but yeah, I went to St. Mary's obviously, which was incredible experience, but we didn't have like the nicest facilities.
So your Division One experience, how do you think that playing at St. Mary's prepared you to get drafted and prepared you to go and play professionally?
Yeah, I think that mostly just kind of maturing as a player, like learning the little details of like pressing, like right, like I'm a forward and on my youth team I didn't have to press. So learning how to press, if my man runs, I have to track my runner or I'm gonna get screamed at by my coach. So I would say mostly just like the little details of the game that you kind of like brush over when you're playing youth that you have to have every single detail if you want to make it in the professional level. That was probably the biggest thing for me. And then also just like gaining confidence, going through the progression of like then becoming a best player in the college game. Because like you said, you have to be good enough at the end of the day. So.
So, how does the draft process work? Like, does someone text you in the morning, say, Riley, we're going to pick you later on? Is it like you have absolutely no idea? Did you have an agent? Like, how was draft day?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So, kind of like towards the end of the season, when I was like balling and I had kind of proven that I was good enough, I got in contact with some people that were helping me get my name out. So, an agent that was, showing myself my highlight tape to MLS teams, showing them that I'm a good player. I got this accolade, that accolade, whatever. Um, and then I would say going into the draft though, you kind of just don't know. Like it's not like the MLS, or I'm sorry, it's not like the NFL where you're kind of like in the draft room, right? You know you're going to get drafted. They call you. I had an idea that I was going to get drafted just because my agent was like, look, I can't promise you anything, but everyone knows who you are, and people have expressed interest. But yeah, you kind of just don't know. Um, but yeah, once I saw my name come up, that was like the happiest day of my life. And
That's
then
amazing.
and then yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was going to say, how important is having an agent?
I think it's pretty important to be honest with you. Obviously, like you're in college, so you don't want to like you want to put all your energy and your focus into your college team, and you want to put the team above yourself, right? You don't want to just like go looking for an agent and have that energy of like I'm leaving. So I tried as best as I could not to have that energy. Um, but yeah, I think it was important because at the end of the day, like who you know is everything. And I had a good season playing in a smaller conference, the West Coast Conference, and so the East Coast MLS teams. Obviously, I got drafted by the Quakes, but the East Coast MLS teams got to see me, got to know who I was, got to hear from an agent that has other clients in the MLS that this kid's a good player. So I think it's pretty big to get your name out there and to make sure that people just know who you are, whether they're going to move forward with you or not.
And now from playing at the MLS Next Pro level, from being involved with an MLS outfit, what are the players that make it doing that the Division One, Division Two, Division Three players are not doing? What separates an NCAA player from a professional player?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is still for me just technical ability. Like the technical level of a player in MLS Next Pro and MLS is just superior to a player in the college game, which is why I just preach wall ball. Like Lamine Yamal has just been on a wall since he was like 4, and that's why his touch is so good. But the other thing is the day-to-day details, right? Like when you're a pro, you're in the facility doing prehab for 30 minutes, then you're watching film for 30 minutes, then you're doing an activation, then you're training for an hour and a half, then you're doing a gym session. Then after the gym session, you're recovering. Like you're in there from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. And so even in college, when you're doing a lot, it's not your whole life. So as much as you can, doing all the little details while you're in college, I think will help a lot of players.
What's your biggest piece of advice to a high school player, 16, 17 years old? He's playing MLS, ECNL, he's playing high school, whatever he's playing. And he comes to you and he says, Riley, I haven't started the college process yet. I want to play Division One college soccer. What's the first thing I need to do?
First thing you need to do is you need to make an introduction email with your highlight tape, your GPA, and you know, a, your stats, whatever, your accolades. Okay, it can be short, one paragraph. Then you're going to start locally. So based on your level, if you're an MLS Next player, you can aim for the D1 level. I like to say always aim high, and if you don't, go low. Start locally and just hit every single school. Like you have to, at the end of the day, make sure that the school knows who you are. And when you get responses, I have students who I work with. When they get responses, I kind of just help them navigate the whole response process. And then what I do after you send your emails out is it's like a funnel system, I call it, where you kind of funnel down, oh, that's a bull crap response. We're going to funnel that out, et cetera, et cetera. But the first thing you can do is make an intro email with the highlight tape, your GPA, and start with the local schools. There's 5 schools near you, JUCO, NAIA, D2, D3, D1. There's got to be at least 5 within an hour radius, and you can just start there.
What happens if they don't reply?
If the schools do not reply, you can send them a follow-up email. That's the first thing. Second thing is you just broaden your horizon, right? So you start with 5 schools, that's 30 minutes. The next day, you can continue to expand. Why do I say local? I say local because when you get interest from a local school, it's very easy, right? If they respond and they're interested in you, then you can go to a camp if it makes sense. Some camps are scammy, but if it makes sense, you can go to a camp. If they want to have you on a visit, you can go on a visit. It's very simple. There's not roadblocks in that process. But yeah, like chances are you're not going to get a response in your first 5 emails, right?
Do
Like I
I,
email.
yeah.
Go
do I
ahead, sorry.
have do I have to play MLS Next to play Division One?
You do not, because there are a heavy amount of Division 1 schools that still recruit from the ECNL level.
And what,
My school actually,
so I
sorry, go
have
ahead.
so I have to play MLS Next or ECNL to play Division One.
I would say I don't like to say always and never because I don't want anyone to like lose their confidence because you can, right? You can. Moise Bambito played JUCO, now he's playing in Ligue 1. So you can. But if you're not playing at a level where D1 schools are going to come watch your game, then you are probably going to have to attend a camp and perform at an extremely high level at the camp and open some eyes. That's what I'll say.
What do you think is the difference between college recruiting and professional recruiting? Like, if a player is saying, because I get this question a lot, it's like, okay, I'm not good enough. Like, I don't even have college offers to go D3, D2, let alone D1, but I want to be a pro. Like, how does it work? How do I get offers? And I'm like, you don't really just send emails to pro clubs. It doesn't really work like that. So, of course, to go to college, like, there's a lot of schools you can reach out to in email and go to camps, but
Mhm.
you're someone that's at a pro level now. How is the recruitment at the pro level different to the college level?
Yeah, with the pro level, I think you kind of have to just more have like a connection with someone. Goes back to who you know. Like they're always bringing in guys to like fill out our training and give guys a week-long training stint. Um, so if you can, I would just say like do your best to form connections with not just like a club, but like a person, and then say, hey, I would love to come out and train for a week and test the level and explore. And then the thing is, with the professional level, regardless of what you've done in the past, once you get in a professional environment, you're there. So if all of a sudden you are playing at a level where you're good enough to be on that team, then you never know what can happen. And I think that's how a lot of these crazy stories come about where like guys are going from there's a guy on I think the Galaxy second team right now that played D2 because the difference between D2 and D1 is not that big of a deal, and he probably got into that environment and showed that he was at the level or above the level, and they said, you know what, we don't care about the past, this kid's good enough, so he's going to play here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then Riley, I know obviously you're doing some work on your personal branding, your social media following, and I just wanted to ask, I really like your content. I think your videos are awesome. What is the purpose behind that? Was there a moment where you were like, I want to start making these videos, or what was the starting point?
Yeah, it's a good question. So for me, I'm someone that always kind of likes to be building towards my future and likes to be doing something. And so with football, even as a pro, like you can't be spending 12 hours a day on football. So um, actually back in college, even in college, I had so much free time and I was like, I don't want to just be playing video games all day. And Hector connected you and I together. He was a little bit earlier than me, maybe like a year or two earlier. And I saw him like building his personal brand and making cool content. And it was completely separate from football. Like it was almost a skill in and of itself. And so Hector was kind of the biggest factor in me starting because I saw that Hector was like generate back then he wasn't like making real money, but he was kind of generating like these brand deals and he's like making money for just posting videos on social media. And then he had a following. Everyone was like excited to watch his videos. So when I saw Hector doing that, I was like, why am I not doing that? So at the beginning, it was more just like fear of posting, fear of what people would think. And then once I got over that, I was just like, let's do it. So
What's been the biggest benefit of your videos and your following?
yeah, for me, I would say one is helping other people. Like having my following has gotten me a lot of business opportunities in terms of coaching kids in my area locally, coaching kids online, serving kids, and then brand deals are fun too. Like it's always fun when you get some shoes plus money or like some jerseys plus money to make some videos. Like it's fun.
And
So
what would you, because obviously you mentioned there about like fear of posting videos and that feeling. What would you say to yourself before you started? Like, what would be your biggest piece of advice to yourself for becoming a content creator before you started?
I would probably just say that nobody really cares what you're posting. Like you're gonna be in training and someone's gonna give you crap about it and joke about it, which I went through a lot. But it's like that's one micro moment in a 24-hour day. That person doesn't actually care. If anything, it's just their insecurity being projected onto you, seeing that you're making money, you got X amount of followers. So I would just say no one really cares as much as it may feel like that. And just like you're gonna regret not doing it in 10 years, 20 years.
So how do you balance your goals as a, because I'm trying to think like you mentioned about like you're going to work the hardest. You obviously have talent and you're working hard towards being a professional footballer. You're working hard towards helping kids fulfill their dreams. How do
Mhm.
you balance everything to make sure that you're not overwhelmed, that you kind of stay with your clear mission? Like how do you put everything into one clear perspective?
Yeah, yeah. That's been important for me too because obviously like my personal journey right now is everything. So the way I kind of structured in my head is like my football, my personal development is everything. That's all. That's all I care about. Right? So on a day-to-day basis, my journaling, my meditation, my visualization, my yoga, my training, my prehab, that's what's most important. Okay? How I'm performing day to day. And then once I leave that environment and I'm back home at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., now I have from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. to do what I want to do. So some kids, when they get home, want to just take a nap and play video games. For me, what I want to do in my free time is help kids build my personal brand, and grow up. So to answer your question, I kind of try to compartmentalize and make sure that like my intention internally is like on my development and my path so that I don't lose that at the cost of my other ventures. But at the same time, like it's just fun for me, right? Like it's rewarding to help kids, to see kids improve, seeing kids commit that like I've worked with is exciting. Um, so yeah, that's how I
Well,
like to structure it.
what do you think makes you different from, because obviously there's soccer agencies, there's people that help players go to college, there's a lot of kind of like these mentoring services that help players kind of with what they're doing. What do you think makes you different?
I think from that, what makes me different is I will tell the kids exactly what to do every single day until they are living like I'm living. So there's a lot of these services where it's kind of like it's just abstract. Like the marketing's amazing. You get the $4,000 check or whatever. And then it's like, what am I really getting here? If that makes sense. So when someone works with me, I try to make it at a price that everyone can afford. It's $30 per month. It's like a subscription. And you just click in on your day. It says today you have wall ball lab, you have mindset course episode, and you have tactical analysis. And then you just do the work. So I think that's what separates me is like it's concrete. I'm not going to promise you anything because you have to do the work, but every single day you're going to be told exactly what to do on all five facets of your game. Uh,
Amazing. That's
so
really cool. That's a really good way to put it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast as well, is try and be as specific as possible, because I think that there's a lot of things that players don't know that kind of these agencies or mentor people kind of assume that you know, right? And they say, "Oh, I'll get you a Division 1 offer, or I'll get you this," but it's like I can tell you what to do. Ultimately, like you've got to be the one to put the work in, right? And of course, there's times where you'll probably talk directly to the coaches or give references, etc. But if you are not the one that reaches out with the email, what do you want me to do, right? So I think that's interesting, and I'm glad that you kind of give it putting it on them and the owners, because that's really important for the kids. And I think I wanted to also touch Riley on like I've been speaking to a lot of professional players, coaches, agents, and talk about kind of the negative sides of football as well. Because obviously, you're a Division 1 player, amazing. You have a really nice Instagram, you have nice pictures, you get to fly to games, and you get all this kit. What are the negatives? We'll start with college soccer first. What are the negatives of being a Division 1 college soccer player that people don't think about?
yeah. Well, so in college, you have no time pretty much. So I would say that's the biggest negative is like you are doing 6 a.m. weights like people say. People aren't lying. Like you're at weights, you're training, you have three classes, you're traveling, and so you're not like you're just in a routine almost every single day. So that's also could be a positive, but I'd say that's the biggest negative in the sense that like you're not like free. Like when you're in college and you're not an athlete, you have like the whole day, right? Class is 2 hours. But when you're an athlete, you have a lot of stress and a lot of stuff going on in your life. And whether or not you're starting or you're the last guy on the bench, you have to do it. So I would say that's the biggest negative is that you're kind of just like sacrificing your time in a sense,
And
for
what
obviously your dream.
and what about being a professional footballer? People think that they want to be a professional footballer. What? What are the negatives of being a pro?
Yeah. So being a pro is very it's a very mentally challenging career because like you said, you see all the positives, the good stuff, but there's so many outside factors of being a pro. Like you could be in a period of your career where you're not playing at all. Your coach could be really on you, right? Your team could be doing bad or you could be doing good. It could be the opposite way. So there's kind of like ebbs and flows to it, but no matter what, like that's your job. So it's like it looks all fun and games, but say you're in like a 3 month spell where your coach is on you, you're not playing a single minute, but you have to get up every single day, go to this environment, be in this setting, and it's your job. So I think it's important that you always just keep perspective, right? Like we're just playing football at the end of the day, and like this is the biggest blessing that we could possibly live. But I've seen so many pros in my, I mean, I've only been a pro for not even 2 years yet, but I've seen so many players who kind of just like lose that spark and forget that like they're just playing football.
Hmm.
Um, so I think the biggest thing is just keeping perspective.
Mindset, interesting. Really good. Really
Yeah,
good. Okay. And then, yeah, Riley, just to finish off, I got a quick fire round. So I got five quick questions for you. So
let's do it.
try and keep it, yeah, short answers if you can. First one, what's the number one thing a high school player can do today to get noticed by a D1 coach?
Mm. Make a highlight tape, make an introduction email, and reach out to the five nearest schools.
What's the biggest difference between a good college player and a pro?
Technical ability.
How do I know if I'm good enough to play D1?
If you're the best player on an MLS Next team or an ECNL team, you have a chance of playing D1.
What's the most underrated skill a young player should work on?
S- Speed, 1v1 ability, and scanning 500 times per game.
If you weren't a soccer player, what would you be doing right now?
Online business.
Amazing. Amazing. Riley, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. That was awesome. I think you have a lot of knowledge, and I'm interested to learn a little bit more about kind of what you're doing with the mentoring and stuff. But I think your story is really cool. I think you're someone that went from like you did exactly what you preach, you went from ECNL to go to Division 1 to go to pro, and I think that doesn't really come down to luck, you have to put yourself in those opportunities. So I just want to say thank you, Riley. That was a really good episode.
Of course. Thank you so much for the kind words. It was a pleasure.